If you're tired of feeling stuck and unfulfilled, it's time to stop listening to the people around you, bro. Your friends, family, and elders may mean well, but their advice is very often misguided and based on their own limited experiences. That's why in this video, you and I are going to explore why it's so important to break free from the opinions of others and create your own destiny. I'll show you how to identify the toxic advice that's holding you back and give you the tools you need to build your own path to success. So get ready to take control of your life and start living life on your terms once and for all. Now, to explain this concept, I'm actually going to tell you a little story that my great uncle used to tell me, so get yourself comfy. So once upon a time, there was this boy called Tyranitar. I can't actually remember what his name was, so we're just going to go with that. Yep, Tyranitar. Now, Tyranitar was destined to rule a kingdom and lead his people. He spent his days reading books about earlier kings and queens, and he practiced his motivational speeches in front of the mirror. Then one day, as planned, Tyranitar was asked to speak to his community and his people about the importance of men learning how to fight. Tyranitar was nervous as shit, bro. He worried that his audience wouldn't think he was good enough, and actually, that's nearly stopped him from doing the speech at all, bro. But then Tyranitar remembered a story that he'd heard about an earlier king who had listened to the wrong advice by too many motherfuckers and made a terrible, terrible mistake because of it, causing a shit ton of people to die. It was at that moment where Tyranitar realised that sometimes it was much better to trust his own judgment and his own intuition instead of listening or even thinking about what other people had to say. With this in mind, Tyranitar took the biggest breath and began speaking from his diaphragm, straight from his diaphragm. His words were confident and wise, and his audience listened intensely as he energized the whole room. When he was finished, his community thanked Tyranitar for all of his wisdom, and Tyranitar realized that he had learned a hella important lesson. He saw that he didn't need to be afraid of what others thought of him, and that actually people respected him even more for listening to his own intuition, and they felt safer because of it. So what exactly can you take from that story there, bro? Well, hopefully it made you realise just how much better off you are sometimes by listening to your own intuition and not to the people around you, especially if the people around you don't really know what the hell they're talking about. And this is what I like to call toxic advice, bro. And the way that you can identify toxic advice from people is by paying attention to how what they say makes you feel inside. If someone's advice makes you feel uncomfortable or anxious, there's a really good chance, bro, that that advice is toxic. As well as that, if the advice seems to go against your personal beliefs or your values, then once again, that advice probably isn't the type of advice that you need to listen to. It's important to remember, bro, that not all advice is good advice, even if it comes from your closest friends or your family. And you should always, always trust your own judgment when making decisions. I mean, yeah, even if you don't think the advice I'm giving you in this video, you should be trusting your gut and clicking off this video straight away. 100%, that's what you should be doing. Now, if you actually take a look at the people around you, bro, it's more than likely that 99% of those people are just regular old sheep, right? And we both know that we do not want to be that kind of person. That is not the life that me and you are wanting to live. We want to be leaders. We want to fulfill our own missions in life. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by listening to your own gut feeling. If you're unsure about whether someone's advice is toxic, and if you're not really sure about your gut feeling and you're not really tuned in to exactly how your gut feels about someone's advice, a really good thing you can do is actually find a second opinion from somebody else that you trust and then base your decision off of that. So now that you know that, and now that you know to be cautious of listening to the people around you, what the hell can you do instead? Well, obviously, with social media nowadays, there are some really, really, really wise people that you can learn from. You know, just with a quick search on any of the social media platforms, you can quite easily find someone with a great deal of knowledge and wisdom. But of course, you know, that comes at a bit of a roll of the dice. So I'd say that for a general practice and as a means of going forwards, you really want to be learning how to tune in to your own intuition and your own gut feeling. So let me go into a little bit more depth with what I actually mean by that and what I actually mean by listening to your own intuition. So basically, listening to your intuition is kind of like having a little voice inside you that helps you make decisions. So for example, let's say you're in a relationship with a girl and things seem to be going really well on the surface, but things might not be as great as they seem because your intuition, or the little voice inside you, might be telling you that something isn't quite right and that there are some red flags that you are ignoring. And that is a perfect example, right, of when you should try to listen to that little voice, bro. Because for 90% of that time, that little voice is correct. And that little voice is kind of like having a sixth sense. That's why it's called intuition. It's like an intrinsic belief. You almost feel it as opposed to believe it. It's something that you feel in your gut. That's why it's kind of like a sixth sense. So to better understand your intuition, right, it's kind of like a skill. The more you listen to your intuition, the more you learn about yourself, the easier you'll find it to tune into your gut feeling. You can do it by practicing mindfulness. And this means taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly and actually just kind of pay attention to your thoughts and your feelings. Another quick drink. As you do this, try to kind of push out any distractions and really dial in and tune in and listen to that inner voice. Pay attention to any kind of physical sensations that you feel on your body while you're doing this. So if you've got like a tightness in your chest, or if you feel like, a fluttering in your tummy or something, I don't know. These are physical sensations that can often be a sign that your intuition is trying to tell you something. Another way that you can find out what your intuition is trying to tell you is by journaling. So literally just get a piece of paper or an actual journal if you have one and just write down whatever thoughts are in your head. And you also want to be writing down the emotions that you are feeling at that time as well. Now you might think that it's an absolute complete waste of time doing this, but have you actually done it before, bro? Probably not. So shut up, alright? Just give it a go, mate. Just give it a go. I guarantee that writing all of this shit down, so your thoughts and your emotions, will help you to get in touch with that inner voice and uncover any additional thoughts or feelings that you may not even be aware of. It's time to start chasing your passion and your purpose in life, bro. Believe you can, and you're more than halfway there. Now fuck off.